Great matchup. I definitely expect some submission out of this fight.
Yeah, I think put my money on Erberth for this match, but Bilarov really surprises with Cavaca. Let's see what he brings to the table against Erberth Santos.
So I'd just like to say thank you everyone for the support who is watching this broadcast here with me and Robert, you know, on behalf of the ACBJJ. I know you guys watch on the acbj.com. Thanks for the support, thanks for the message. I hope you guys enjoy our chats over here. Now we get a little bit more used with the with the machines, so we are back on track. Aí, pessoal do Brasil, sei que tem uma galera aí assistindo esse podcast, esse broadcast aqui no acbjj.com. Queria agradecer o suporte, as mensagens aqui. Espero que vocês tenham curtindo aí.
Oh, nice butterfly sweep by Erberth Santos right off the bat. Muhammad's struggling to get back up. The referee scored the points. Good job keeping him down.
Erberth has such a good base and so explosive.
He's incredibly explosive and like precise too with his movement. It's one thing to be explosive and clumsy about how you move, but there's like that precision, right? You move right into the right spot at the right time.
Very good transition to the back. Erberth is such a good phase. I believe this, I would put my money on Erberth Santos versus Felipe Pena in the final.
Really? I was just going to ask you, like, who you thought was going to be the finalist. I think,
even though Adam, I really liked Adam to get to the final, but
it would be difficult to beat Felipe Pena.
Yeah, Felipe is on
an
fire.
Animal though, man. Like, he's just one of those guys. It doesn't matter. I mean, Lowe seems to have his number now, Leandro Lowe, but even so, it's always close. He's just well-rounded, just beast of an athlete. Yeah, I don't think Bilarov can beat him. Like, Felipe Pena, I think he's going to put on a good fight, but it will be interesting to see who takes it.
Both opponents a little bit having a break, try to calm down the situation. Erberth is winning, so he will definitely tend to slow down now. As I know, as a characteristic, you know, he will kind of save a little bit of energy to spend on the second round for sure. And
Bro, when you see that foot there, do you see a steam a lock every time you see that foot there? I know you do.
I don't see.
Don't
I
lie.
feel.
I'm like
really
I'm
effective.
like maybe 1/3 of the time I get it. I know I'm missing something. A lot of times I have a hard time when they're holding my sleeve and I can't bring the arm close enough.
Yes, and that's when you have to use the upper body and to turn more.
You lean in with the upper body to make up for it.
And then I'll turn around and then throw myself back.
I remember that detail you showed me about pinching the elbow.
It makes a big difference.
That was huge, man.
Make a big difference.
Yeah. And I showed it to a couple of my students. They were like, oh, man, like that's exactly what they were missing as well. Was that your move or your brother's?
Listen, we kind of discovered together.
Okay.
It's a funny way, because we were training for the ADCC 2009, and I had a very sore ankle for training, and then I was putting my, Z guard, and I put my foot on that location, and then Victor just hold to try to pass, and then I felt a lot of pressure on my foot that was injured. I said, oh, hold on, Victor, I don't want to get even more hurt.
Yeah.
And I said, stop a second, let me see one thing.
Wow.
What if you put a real naked choke? What if you do this? And then we developed, and then I managed
it was an accident. Like, I always find like the best discoveries in jiu-jitsu are always accidents.
Exactly.
It's always you're trying to do one thing, and then it was never like I'm going to lay in bed and think of a move. That never really happens. It's always like I'm trying to do one thing, I fail, or they do something, and I improvise on the spot, and then something new comes about.
Yeah, and basically, Victor became much more specialized on this, because he...
I remember the first time I saw you caught Lovato with him. And
yeah, it was
nasty.
in 2009. That was nobody knew what happened.
And you jumped back too.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Oh, there's something happened there.
I think I headbutt.
Probably is a little bit damage from Muhammad Ali in the previous round.
Man, what is it with these guys in headbutts, huh? Rodrigo Cavaca in Erberth Santos' corner. They've competed against each other a few times, and you end up competing with someone enough, they become a friend.
Erberth sometimes can come across a little bit of tough or arrogant on the.
Yeah, he's an okay guy when you meet him.
Such a nice guy.
Yeah, when you meet him.
I really like him.
The thing is, a lot of times that the guy you see on TV, on the computer, or on Instagram, or whatever, is not always normally. It seldom is the real person. A lot of times you're seeing someone that might be behaving a certain way after they lose or they're upset. May say something, people get the wrong impression, but. Yeah, you don't really know someone till you actually get to spend time with them. And every time I met Erberth, he was always very friendly.
Yeah, I think everyone in the background, they all hung around. We all hung around nice in the same table. I was in the same table today, and I saw Muhammad Ali, Erberth, and Panza. We all talking.
Yeah.
This is the sportsmanship of the jiu-jitsu. I want to step to the mat. Come on.
And there's something healthy about rivalries. Like I think that you can have a rival and it can be something very healthy, and it doesn't stop you from being a friend. Like I remember, we had some. I'm sure this happened to you too. You have wars at the gym. You're literally trying to kill each other, right? And then as soon as you're done, it's done. You go have lunch together, and that's it. That's where it ends. That's the way it should be. Even in competition, same thing. Rivalries are healthy, just as long as you keep that, know that, be professional about it. No trash talking necessary.
Yeah.
Look at that lasso guard, man. Ooh, got him.
Very strong.
Beautiful.
So strong.
Wow, that's a beautiful transition. Went for the arm at the very end there. Man, I'd never seen that transition from the lasso before. That was nice.
Erberth won the first round, clearly. See how I like this. Now comes the second round. And comes down to the strategy. Maybe I forgot his name. Abdurakhman change his strategy to get the win.
Beautiful sweep by Erberth Santos.
Very, very nice. He's so
pulled to that guard with so much momentum behind him. Bilarov had no choice but to fall into the butterfly sweep. Good job by Erberth keeping him down.
Yeah, usually when I go there in that situation, I usually go straight to the leg. Erberth didn't even need the guy's leg to keep him down. He just keep moving forward. Did you notice?
Yes.
Usually
it's harder.
I grab the leg so he doesn't stand up.
So you pick up the leg off the ground.
Exactly, yeah. Look at this. Now I go straight to his left leg right now, so he doesn't pick up to do the avoid his technical stand-up.
I was using that a lot in MMA because guys always try to stand up.
Exactly.
So I grab the bottom leg, you pick it up and not shove it to his face. That's
exactly.
I was pushing it towards his face. It stops him from standing up.
And that comes down to how the basics works for both ways. Because for him to stand up, he needs to do the very first technique we learned, the stand-up technique. Exactly. He needs to do the stand-up technique. Bring the bottom leg backwards. To avoid the guy stand up, if you hold the bottom leg, he cannot put it again. If he doesn't start, it doesn't end up the problem.
Exactly. Prevention. It's kind of like when you think about people get sick and they want to take a pill, right? Like antibiotics. How about have a healthy immune system, never have the problem to begin with? That would be much healthier and longevity. Right? Easier and cheaper as well. Correct. Less is more. Be interesting to see if Erberth Santos can pull off a takedown, man. These Russian guys all have really good takedowns. But Erberth, look at that. He's got a lot of pop with that Iponsianagi. He has a very powerful knee drop takedown. Guys, if you guys have any questions for me and Roberts, you can go on our profile on the Instagram and send our direct message. So I'm gonna start reading some if you guys are interested. Okay, I'm online here on the Instagram. If you send me some message, we'll be answering. If I could get a Wi-Fi connection, you could direct message me as well. I'm charging. Oh, see, that's my lead. I step ahead of the. See, that's Robert. I just made you uncomfortable. I'm ahead on the game. You're killing me. How many messages you just get? You just got 15 direct messages.
Let me just, I'll answer, guys. If you guys want to send me a message about Robert Drysdale too, I'll pass it on to him as well. We're both going to be, I'll promise next time I'll use his profile to use that.
Where is Ashton with our hotspot?
Ashton Kutcher is here somewhere with our hotspot.
I have the Polish version of Ashton Kutcher working for me in Braulio.
All right, guys, so one more time here, direct from
nice takedown attempt by Erberth Santos.
Warsaw, AC Bjj, send us messages. We'll be waiting for you. And to Robert too. Yes. Robert, is there any project that you were working on lately?
I am working on a documentary about the history of Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, that's amazing. That's what's needed.
We've done the teaser. We're finishing editing it. We will be launching the teaser soon, and we're trying to raise some money to finish the project.
Oh, that's awesome.
Really, I don't know if you know this, but in 2013, the Brazilian National Library digitalized over 100 years worth of newspapers in Brazil.
Wow.
So we have access to when Maeda got to Brazil and what he was doing and who he was teaching, and lots of interesting.
Your dad? Who?
Maeda.
Maeda. Okay,
Maeda.
sorry.
So we're talking about the inception of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA as well, and lots of interesting stuff. And our goal is really to make a complete story, a more complete story, add to the story. You know, we have an account that came down to us, and we want to be able to add to it. So more information soon, but we're working on it.
There's a lot of things that is not out there yet, right? And then something that's very
there are more
some
people,
bridges
there are
needed-
more
needed.
character to the story. There are a lot of other Japanese other than Maeda to begin with. You know, some of them that actually did more for jiu-jitsu than Maeda, and people don't know about them.
I'm really confused where the jiu-jitsu exactly came from, because there's a
Nice. That's man.
And
look
again,
at that.
wow.
And straight to the back.
He does that to take the back action. And again, one more time, too soon.
Got too greedy.
Again, you can't do that.
Yes, they're asking
We
for
have been
points
talking
there.
about this all night.
It's not a pass, though. A lot of people get confused there because they think side control is points. And you don't get points for side control. You get points for passing the guard. You have to make the distinction. So under different rule set, like that right there would be control, so you'd be getting 3 points. But IBJJF does not score
Invert the
points.
triangle right there. Wait,
That's your move.
I'm gonna shout. Invert the triangle. It's possible. So yeah, one thing that I really have I confuse myself exactly where did jiu-jitsu exactly came from, because I heard when I read when I was younger, it was that it came from India, from the monks, and
Truth is, there's no way of knowing. When you go that far back, the sources are not existing.
Where it came first?
Okay, it's the same martial art. Judo, what we know is
Just
what we
rules,
call
right?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is essentially Kodokan Judo. But it's Kodokan Judo from early in the 20th century. So, you know, Kodokan Judo changed over time. It became, you know, more sport-oriented, and they removed a number of submissions. So Kodokan Judo became what we call today sport judo, whereas Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu drifted in a different direction for a number of different reasons. But when Maeda is teaching in Brazil, and all these other Japanese are teaching in Brazil, they're teaching Kodokan.
Kodokan, yeah.
But the thing is, Kodokan was not, judo was like a name, like we call grappling and nogi. You call judo and jiu-jitsu then, it's pretty much the same thing. So a lot of people get them confused, but at the time, they're very much the same martial art. In fact, Jigoro Kano didn't call it judo, he called it Kano Jiu-Jitsu. He called it that for a long time, only later did he switch it over to judo.
That's interesting, because if you stop to see judo and jiu-jitsu, what the difference is only the rules.
Same martial arts, the rules.
It's just the rules.
It's the same martial art.
The rules made this the fight end up faster in judo on the takedown, so therefore you spend more time taking the takedown.
One thing the Gracie family did for judo, and this is huge, and a lot of people don't give them credit for it, and like they don't always claim the credit for it, but it was actually resisting the expansion of judo in Brazil. Had Carlos not resisted that expansion, we would not have what we call Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Because you have to ask yourself the question, why don't we have French Jiu-Jitsu? Why don't we have Canadian Jiu-Jitsu? Why do we have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Because there's something very specific. Like, there were Japanese teaching all over the world. It wasn't just Brazil. But it was something very specific that happened in Brazil.
They do call, in UK, they do call Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Japanese jiu-jitsu, because
The
that's
traditional
the original.
Exactly.
Like, but even jiu-jitsu prior to Kodokan Judo was something very
Something changed. That was the
eclectic.
competition
It wasn't.
way, right?
There was no format. There was no like IBJJF rules to set the standards for what jiu-jitsu is, for example. It was very, my gym focuses on strikes, your gym focuses on throws, his gym focuses on knee bars, and it's all jiu-jitsu. There was not a format. It was a loose thing that people referred to as jiu-jitsu back then. But you know, later, once Kodokan established what jiu-jitsu was, and later became called Kodokan Judo, that's when you have the martial art that would later become Kodokan Judo and later Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the Brazilian version of Kodokan Judo, essentially.
This is so interesting, you know.
And what's fascinating is that like a lot of this material wasn't available before, so now we're able to look into this and understand what really happened, and in fact, there were Brazilians teaching jiu-jitsu in Brazil prior to Maeda arriving. Did you know that?
No.
There were Brazilians. The first Japanese to teach jiu-jitsu in Brazil was teaching under Dom Pedro II, the Brazilian emperor, prior to the Republic.
Kidding me.
1888.
He probably helped the independence.
There were Japanese teaching jiu-jitsu in Brazil. So a lot of cool stuff on this documentary.
That's awesome.
Stay tuned. You know, we should be done by the end of the year. So.
Man, I'm excited a lot. We need to know more about the story in the back. Hayla Gracie did that book.
I read that biography. Guess how many times I read the biography?
It's really, really nice.
I read it over 3 times.
It's really nice. Very interesting.
She did an amazing work. You got to give it to her.
She opened up
especially
everything.
Yes, because up to then we had one account. We had a one version of the story.
What was everyone's said about?
Hayla's biography of her father brought a different account, and now we have a third one, which is possible because of the newspapers of the time.
Exactly. For example, like Robert, the book that Hayla came with, Hayla Gracie is Roger's mom, by the way.
Carlos's daughter.
Carlos' daughter. She.
Nice. Good reversal by
Kimura is very
Santos.
strong.
Nice, man. He's there.
Very strong.
Such good scrambles.
And she opened a story that everyone was just talking about one side of the coin.
Yes.
And so she opened up the whole, and it made us understand a lot about the Gracies and why they are today, and why the jiu-jitsu is what it is, and how powerful Carlos Gracie
one
was
thing that
outside of the mat.
That Hayla brought to the table that wasn't part of the conversation. We were able to find articles on this in the 1920s, but the first Gracie Academy was actually in São Paulo. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
She talks about that. Carlos had a gym in São Paulo for a very short period of time. Jiu-jitsu in São Paulo was very competitive then because there's so many Japanese in São Paulo. But that was prior. That was in 1929. And don't quote me on that. I got to double check on that date. But it was certainly the 1925 date is incorrect. A lot of people don't know that. But the first Gracie Academy was actually in São Paulo, not Rio.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about. And I think a lot of cool revelations about the history of jiu-jitsu.
You lived yourself most of the time in Brazil, was in São Paulo, right? So you get access to that time. That's interesting. Yeah, I miss a lot of those live stories in Brazil, but living in Recife, you know, far from the
what a beautiful place. I was there a couple years ago.
It's very beautiful. It's good to go to the
trade
beach.
For São Paulo. Not in a.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I'm probably not doing São Paulo a big favor here, but yeah, you don't skip São Paulo.
Northeast is an amazing.
It's something else. If you go to Brazil, go to the very south or the very north. You'll be.
No.
Try to avoid the center. Would be or the southeast. You know.
But Ubatuba by the coast.
Yeah, they're the exceptions though. They're not the rule. You know.
Yeah.
I was surprised Erberth standing up. I would expect him to pull guard and just keep that strategy because he was doing a good job getting Bilarov off balance.
Yeah, I think he felt how hard it is Bilarov to sweep him. You know, it's very difficult. So I think he's trying to be on top of it. And he realized also that Bilarov cannot take him down. And he likes this kind of stand-up fighting, right? And Erberth, I think he's playing smart there. He won the first round and he won the second now with more combativity. He realized that he had the control of the fight. And I think that will be him going to the final. And let's see who's coming for him.
Third round, 2 minutes left. Bilarov's really got to turn it up if he wants to win this fight. Broly, how about yourself, man? What are you working on lately?
Well,
I know you're teaching. I know you got a gym in Birmingham. You have a tournament coming up. Tell me more about your projects.
yes, I mean, I've been working a lot on the scenario of teaching jiu-jitsu. I think it's the new phase that of any athlete, when passing. When you start stop competing so often,
Are you saying we're old? Is that what you're saying?
No, we're experienced.
You're experienced. We're wise.
Very wise. So I've been focused a lot with the teaching around and this team in action.
Dude, he's got that snap down, doesn't he?
He doesn't let it go. He even helped the guy stand out. Amazing. So yeah, I have my team in action where I teach every week. Ongoing lessons and that people don't have access on the way that I teach, with the concepts, with the, I teach a lot more. I don't teach a technique by itself. I like to explain the concept behind so you can adapt your own game.
Because the concept is something you can carry over to other situations.
Exactly.
I agree.
Because
I would try to use concepts.
Every technique, there is a concept. If you base yourself on a technique, you are limited to this particular way of doing something.
Correct.
A technique is nothing more than a mechanism to make a certain concept work. And if you understand the concept of the technique by asking and exploring why the technique works, you get the concept, you can make your own way of doing it. And that's how I like to explain when I'm teaching. So I get a lot of good feedbacks.
I notice you use analogies too. Like you mentioned the snake. I always like to use analogies because I think a lot of times it's a bridge between the normal, our day-to-day lives, and jiu-jitsu could be something very complicated for a lot of people, especially if you're a beginner. So I like to use analogies as well.
Because the thing is, one of the things I always wanted to specialize myself is to the invisible part of the jiu-jitsu that people don't really see. Like you say, the talented guy does things that he doesn't necessarily recognize what he's doing, but he does. And my main focus is try to highlight and then to get a deeper vision on that particular situation.
Nice,
very good
control, and those belts.
Erberth wants to take the belt out already.
Yeah, man, beautiful.
He's saying this belt is mine.
Beautiful, man. You gotta love the action. Erberth brings it to the mats, man. His match with Muhammad Ali was a little slower than I was expecting, but generally speaking, he's a very exciting guy to watch.
It's an amazing fight.
Moves like a lightweight. You're talking about your.
Yeah,
your teaching.
Yeah, I think I learn around by going around the world teaching seminars and be able to show the parts that people don't really necessarily can understand what's happening. Because there's a lot of parts in the invisible part that, a lot of tensions back and forth that you don't actually see.
And that can be more helpful than a new technique.
Of course it is, because the thing is, Robert, when we train a certain technique, usually we train with our partner, letting you doing things, and you focus only on what you want to do. But in the real situation, there is always a contradiction.
There's a conversation.
Yeah,
it's communication.
It's actually not even not necessarily agreeing, but there is an argument.
There's an argument.
There's a conflict of interest.
Yes.
I want this. The guy said, no, I don't want to give that. I wanted that. I said, no way.
I like the way you put it. It's an argument.
It's an argument.
Physical argument. Yeah.
Exactly, because we don't agree with each other.
So it creates a movement, right?
Exactly.
Direction.
So by a lot of times, for example, another analogy that I give is when you see a bow and arrow competition, okay, like the.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a winner.
That's it for the event there.
And your winner,
Erberth Santos advanced to the final against the winner between